We're going to start with the basics, the different types of drawings that you're going to see. There are three types that we'll focus on, and one is graphic projection, the other is perspective, and the last one is orthographic projection. Now, graphic projection is a three-dimensional drawing. It tries to represent what you're looking at in 3 dimensions. So you have X, Y, and Z. And the X, Y, and Z angles all add up to 360 on an orthographic projection. And the way it's drawn, it actually can be drawn to scale. A perspective, on the other hand, cannot be drawn to scale, because what a perspective tries to do is give you an illustration of what the object looks like, as if you were actually standing there looking at it, or even if you took a picture of it. Both of those would actually give you a perspective with a vanishing point or multiple vanishing points. These are never to scale. And then finally, what you're going to see most often are the orthographic projections. And those are drawings where you have the actual plan, the elevations, and so on. These are always to scale. When you look at the different types of graphic projections, you'll find that when they're drawn at different angles to add up to the 360, they're called different things. So if all the lines or all the angles are equal, that's an isometric. Something different, dimetric. Another one, trimetric. So there are different names for them. But you know what? No one's measuring these angles, right, except for the person who drew it. And they're calling them all isometric for some reason. So we'll just refer to them as isometric when we see them. And that's what you'll see on drawings. So here's an example of an isometric drawing. This is actually a sanitary sewer layout. And it's a great way to show how all the pipes and fittings and elbows and everything fit together, and in the case of sanitary sewer, how everything is flowing downhill. Here's another one that they want to really illustrate the handicap ramp and handicap parking and how all that fits together. The important thing to see in all of these is that the angles of all the different lines, the lines going vertically and the lines going horizontally in 2 different directions, add up to 360 degrees. In the case of the sanitary sewer layout, it is actually an isometric because all 3 angles are the same. But in the case of the handicap ramp, the angles are slightly off, and it wouldn't be an isometric, but they usually refer to them as isometrics. The other thing that we see is that you can scale these drawings. In other words, if you used a scale to measure these drawings, you'll find that it works. Now, most often they actually say that these are not drawn to scale. So perspective, like we said, is an illustration, and this is a good example of an illustration. But what you find is that all the vertical lines are vertical, but as you move back in space, even though the building is the same size as you move back, the vertical line is much smaller because things tend to get smaller as you move back. If you look at the horizontal lines, even they change length depending on how far away they're going, getting away from you, up or down. And we can see that example here, the horizontal line that's going across the top. If we draw that exact same line across the middle, it sticks out from the building. And perspectives can be made to actually confuse. An artist, M.C. Escher, made a lot of use of perspectives to make these interesting drawings that are impossible. Orthographic projections means that you can just project from one type of drawing to the other. You can draw your plan, and you can project out lines from different components to draw an elevation. You can draw a 45 to extend those lines to a different elevation. So you can project all your different drawings, and that's why they call them orthographic projection. No one does this anymore. We have BIM to build models. It does all of our drawings for us, our elevations, our sections, perspectives. So why do you need to know it if it's not being used anymore? Well, people may still refer to them as orthographic projections, even though they were not actually projected to create them.